played in a lot of big games last year, but not necessarily like the stage you played in New York against Kansas, top 5 teams. How much, does that benefit?
I do. I think that's a really good question. I think it is good. I think every year guys, they want to do that, and I thought, you go back, thought we were a little bit too emotional to get into that game, and hopefully we won't be like that going forward. You kind of, the excitement of being in New York, the excitement of being in part of one of the preseason tournaments is always good, but and you go back, Lamonte hadn't played really, and he came in and he was overly amped up about it. But I think these games are really important for that, and moving forward, to be the program we want to be, I think you've got to be willing to play a really demanding schedule. I think you look at Gonzaga. I mean, Mark's always done that. Now his conference plays a little bit different, but you have to respect the fact that he's willing to go anywhere to play. And I have great respect for that in his program, and I, from the time that we've gotten, we've talked about that. We even now are looking forward. We're starting to travel. We're going to go into maybe Canada and play a game. Maybe go out playing some things out in Oregon that's on the table. So we're going to, with our program now, we're going to be traveling, probably doing some things now because of what's going on with the Big Ten, the ACC, going to more conference games. And so I think going forward, our schedule is going to change, but it's not going to change in the fact that we're going to continue to play a very high-level non-league schedule.
Gonzaga has a really good system in place for dealing with international student athletes. Do you feel pretty good about the system you have at Tennessee? You've got some foreign players here.
Well, we believe in it too. We work it. I mean, we work that international line. We really do. We've got all of our coaches have dealt with it in some way, shape, or form. And we're involved with players now from over there, and we'll continue to do that. I do think that the fact that Gonzaga has, Canada's been good to them. Canada was good to us while we were at Texas, and it's been good to us here with Kyle. Kyle was going to go to Texas with us, and but internationally, they made a great surge there. And once you start having success with international players, the word can spread pretty quickly. The key is finding out the ones that really are really interested in coming over. But people would probably be surprised how active we are in that market, looking at players from different parts of the world.
What about your support system academically for those student athletes?
Well, I think from a university level, I think they would appreciate that. I think that we all want to have more international students. I think any university would like to have that. I think any university would encourage that, and I think here we're no different. But we have a great support program here in place for academics, and Eve is very intelligent. Obviously, he came in and has his English has gotten better and better. I mean, he could speak English when we got him, but now he's learning how to all the different types of English that can be spoken, especially mine. But the fact is, we have a great support program, and we can handle that.
Do you think your players got the message about not being too emotional, and do you think they will be more within themselves this time around?
Well, you'd like to think that as the season goes on, you would like to think that they're going to be able to do that, and I mean, I like to think that's going to happen. And every game you learn some things. The last couple games we played against teams that have pretty much putting their head down, trying to drive the ball really hard. Smaller teams that are trying to. We did a good job the last game with a team doing that, not putting them on the foul line. But they're also really back in there. I mean, about as far back as you can go. And when people are really trying to invite you into shooting an early shot, it's a tough shot because you're trying to get something else done, but yet they're making you maybe go to option 2, 3, 4, and in the last game when we move the ball and you don't let the ball stick, we're just so much better. And the last game too, we were putting them in some very, very long defensive possessions. And when you do that, now you got to come down and work hard on the offensive end. I do think that we've ran better the last couple games, and I think that credit goes to Jordan Bone. I think he's really looking to push it, but. We're learning from each game. I think we're going to learn some different things, and we still are not as consistent as we need to be. But I think any coach in the country would say that right now. That they've got ways to go.
Any update of timetable on the Montes?
No, it's really pretty much day by day, and that's something that he's still working through.
Rick, how do you approach this week from a scheduling standpoint, having such a long break between games?
Well, today we need it. We got a couple days here, and really what we'll do is we have a, routine that we go through where we're going to spend a lot of time with the things that we need to continue to work on to get better. And we'll practice twice here. We'll treat it like it's a game week 2. Then we'll take off Thursday, practice here on Friday, and get ready to play. And we'll practice out there a little bit, and then get ready to play on Sunday. And then we come back into exams. This has been a little bit unique in the fact that we haven't had a game right now coming here in the middle of this week, but sometimes that's how your schedule works out.
Is there a little bit more of a self-focus then early this week than maybe?
We got things that Gonzaga's not doing anything from a scheme standpoint really. Mark's teams have always been very, very good, extremely well coached on both ends, and they know what they're looking for, which is a major thing when you're playing against his teams. They're a team that can they put the ball inside, but he adjusts like I think any coach would with what he has, but they're a terrific offensive team, and they're very sound defensively, and they're not going to try to out-trick anybody. They're going to do what they do. He knows what he believes in, and he's just going to expect his team to execute.
Rich, when you look at Grant on defense, I know that you're going to say you want him to play harder and smarter and do some other things, but is part of that also adjusting to how much attention and how much banging he's getting on the other end of the floor, and is that just something he has to learn to deal with?
Yeah, if you want to be the player that he wants to be, but now, defensively, I mean, he could help himself by just learning how to contest shots. I mean, when a guy's on the free throw line or three-point line, I mean, you can make the effort to go run him off the line or get a hand up. I mean, you can't give up 3 shots, and you can't overhelp to a point where you put yourself in a position that you can't recover back to your own man. You got to stay in front of the basketball. But if you think about it, people play against us, they're going to say, let's go after him, let's make him play defense. And he's going to have to prove that you can try that, but I believe in my teammates. I know that if I do my job, and they've got my back, but I've just got to be in position to make sure I do what I need to be doing on the defensive end.
You talk about the conditioning with guys like Bone and the way that he's defending and getting after some guys. What kind of shape do your point guards need to be in to kind of to play that in your face for 94 feet and then handle things and kind of stay calm on the other end of the floor?
It's hard. What you ask is a very, very hard position to play, and that's why we feel it's so important to try to, because what we want to do, we want to make people use some time bringing the ball to the floor so we don't have to play against, in the half court guys for 25. We'd like to get it down to where they're really getting into their offense, under 20, and so we've tried to do different things. Sometimes we'll put Eve Pons in the game or Jordan Bowden or whoever it may be and say, you go up and guard the point guard, because it's hard to do that, expect that point guard, especially when people are isolated. Now, the other night went to a little bit of a zone press where we were really definitely going to trap in the backcourt, but still he's involved in that. But it's a little bit different. It is a little bit different. But and then expecting him to run and do it's a really hard position to play. And the way we play is a really hard style to play if you're not in shape, because we want to play quick on offense, but yet we want to guard. And when you're a really good defensive team, unless the team is just determined to shoot it quickly, you're going to be in long possessions on the defensive end multiple times. And so condition is a major part of playing this game. And then another major part is being able to play when you're fatigued. How do you do that? How can you play through that until maybe you can get a sub in a game? And I think when you get fatigued, that's when you've got to really learn to be smart, intelligent, and know that now I've got to let the system work for us.
Coach, how did Eves respond from going to having all the highlights in his first game to having more turnovers than points in the second?
He's embarrassed, and that's exactly the word he'd use. After the game, he knows he's better, and there's a correlation. He wasn't as good. I think he probably gave up the most points he's given up since he's been here, and he threw the ball away, and a couple of guys actually said that was his fault because they were telling him to throw it in at the angle. But he's a good enough player. He's got to be able to read the backside of that defense, and because every spot on the floor has a different angle to look at. And when you're in the corner, you've got to know that they're loaded up on that white line. But he threw a couple passes that just weren't very good passes. But how has he responded? He's been in the gym every day for probably on his own an hour and a half, 2 hours, just trying to get better. I mean, he knows what he has to do, and he's going to continue to work. And this time of year, that's what's really important, is that players keep working to get better. I mean, they work all summer in the off-season, and the season gets here, then they think they can let up. That's when you can't let up. You gotta be more efficient. You gotta get things done in a lesser amount of time, but the way he responded was he came back and he's gonna work to try to make it right.
Two more. You have Memphis coming up not long after that. So why did you want to get that game back on the schedule, and how difficult was it the negotiations to get it back?
Well, it's Tubby and I, we've known each other, and again, I think Tennessee has great basketball in the state, and that's a great, it had been a rivalry, there's no doubt about it. When you think of Memphis, they've had one of those great basketball towns. It has been in whole, I grew up watching Memphis State play, and I know how important basketball is to Memphis. I know how important now it is to University of Tennessee, and so there's no doubt when we started talking about it, Tubby and I, and obviously Rob worked through his people to help get it done, and our initial thought was to have it in Nashville, but Tubby wanted to start with it there and then come here and then go to Nashville, and after that we'll decide. I hope it is something that we keep going. I'd like to see, what to be 3 years from now, when we play the game in Nashville, that it will be a great day for Tennessee basketball, with one of those days, kind of what we're getting into out here with the Jerry Colangelo Classic, where there's games going on, I think the day before, the day of, to make it really a great thing for the state of Tennessee in terms of basketball.